The suspense is big in the markets, and the question that pops up often is, will Bitcoin manage to break through this massive resistance of $8,200, or is it going to experience a bit of a downtrend? Now, as things are in the market, it's very difficult to predict the future, and things can go up and go down. However, in this video, I'm going to try and look at different aspects of the market update, and interestingly enough, also some very good news. For example, Facebook chooses Switzerland to register its blockchain subsidiary. My opinions on that. And next up, is Ripple the perfect bridge between banks and crypto? Bitcoin on the brain. BTC dominates internet searches in the West, which is very good for adoption. Next up, Coinbase enables businesses to accept USD coin for payments. Also another article about adoption. And last but not least, Kraken with an equity sale of around 10 million US dollars. So we've got a nice a range of articles to cover and a bit of a market update. I'm Kieran from Crypto Bulls, and I'm happy to have you here with me today. And today is Tuesday, the 21st of May, 2019. Now, yeah, like I said, the markets are a bit going sideways, with Bitcoin still around the 8,000 US dollar range. Not much happening. Ethereum the same. Last 7 days, 22% growth, which is great. However, also now moving sideways with not a lot of price action. XRP the same thing. Now, the only one that has had a bit of a pump is Bitcoin SV, with in the last hour 96%, in the last 24 hours 100% price increase. Now, one reason for that is, that's just my hypothesis, is the news that Craig Wright has been granted copyright rights to the Bitcoin white paper. Don't ask me how that's possible. It just blows my mind that the copyright system works like that. In my opinion, that's just fraudulent. However, people will believe what they want to believe. Yeah. Otherwise, the market is more or less moving sideways. If we look at the global market cap, and that's also, yeah, it's moving sideways, with the last top at $253 billion, and now we're around $246 billion. And it's going to be very interesting to see if we're going to manage and hold these resistances and maybe push up to see newer highs. However, for that to happen, we're going to have a lot more volume coming into the market. And at the moment, it doesn't seem like the case. So we've got a bit of a decrease in volume, which is not good. And it shows a bit of a uncertainty of investors when they're not ready to go into the market and push the volume up. And that shows that many investors are not certain what's going to happen in the next few weeks. Now, looking at BTCD on the BTC USD on the 4-hour chart, we've got what seems like a triple top, and yeah, we're trying to the current resistance is around $8,300. So we haven't managed to break that. We had just a little bit of a touch up there, but otherwise we've been rebounding from that resistance level and moving more or less sideways after the great dump that we had on the 17th of May, due to the big amount of Bitcoin that was sold on Bitstamp. And since then we've been moving sideways. Now, one thing I want to mention is, first of all, the RSI is showing a bearish divergence. So we've got here lower highs, which shows that the interest or the momentum and buying, like when it's at the top, the cryptocurrency is overbought, and the interest, the more the coin is going sideways, is going down. And since we've got lower highs on the RSI, this indicates bearish divergence and potentially more downwards movements. Now, of course, as always in the cryptocurrency market, very often coins move in completely illogical for traders, and it just might pump up despite technical analysis. So it's always good to just have an overview of what might happen, but always expect things to move in a completely different way, especially if there are bigger investors in play and they're going to try and trick the market and cause some maybe short squeezes and so on to fill their short positions at a higher price point. So it's possible that we see a break up towards the 8,900 range and then a drop back down. However, like I said, it's very difficult at the moment to time these markets, and the whole market is very uncertain. That's what's going to happen. That's why we've got this sideways movement. Now looking on to the Ethereum BTC exchange rate, it's very, very low at the moment. So in my opinion, if you're dollar cost averaging, buying Ethereum or other altcoins is probably not a bad idea when you've got your BTC position already fixed. So you should keep that in mind when dollar cost averaging. Make sure you look at the ETH BTC exchange rate, and then at the moment it looks very, very good for Ethereum, and it's moving along this very strong support line and had a bit of a pump last week, and that's good. That's pretty good. So let's look at some predictions or some market updates, market opinions from other traders. So this is Ride the Pig, and his opinion is that we are going to be following this trend line, which is more or less a bearish trend line. And we've got here, so we had a higher low. If we push this here, we continue. So as we had a bit of a break, a test of this trend line. However, we capitulated and went back down and are following along this bearish trend line, this downwards channel. And also at the bottom here, this is what they're he's expecting based on this large wick that we experienced. Now in my opinion, it's very difficult to use channels based on wicks, and we're going to definitely have to see if Bitcoin is going to manage to break past this downwards trend line here, because now it's got some trouble at 7,990 to break above the $8,100 range. And as I mentioned before, with the RSI also pointing in a more bearish direction with the downwards trend, yeah, it's not looking too good. Not looking too good indeed. So here what's quite interesting is here he's got these offers, and that's where traders are going to be going short. Probably bigger investors with more capital, they're going to be putting their short positions here, hoping for a lot of profit should the market break down. Now at the moment the next support is around this range here of 7,000 US dollars. I would say it's a bit between here at the upper end $7,480 to the lower end of 7,000 US dollars. So the price can probably break down to about that range and bounce around a bit should it be a bit of a bearish move. Now next up, again, this is a bit of a more positive outlook on the current Bitcoin trend with an ascending triangle. Now this trader is looking at an ascending triangle, and I think it's very important to look at multiple scenarios of what can happen, and it helps you see different pictures and base maybe your trades on that. But however, remember, this is not financial advice. Do not take this trader's opinion and put your hard-earned cash there. Just make your own decisions. Now looking at this upwards ascending triangle, we can press the button, see what happened in the last 15 hours, and we've been moving sideways like I mentioned before. Now the thing is, we've had 3 tops here, so what I'd guess based on this ascending triangle is that we're going to be retouching the lower part of the ascending trend line, and that would be more or less, like I said before, around the 7,500 range, which I mentioned before is the upper range of our next support. The RSI is not looking too good, but yeah, I mentioned that as well before. So quite interesting, but it's very difficult to predict the outlook. In my opinion, the statistical probability that we're going to see a bit of a correction is higher than more upwards movements. But we'll see. It's always very interesting. It never gets boring in the cryptocurrency market. That's why we love it so much. Now, going on to some news, Facebook chooses Switzerland to register its blockchain subsidiary. Now, in further emphasis of its intentions to enter the cryptocurrency space, Facebook has registered a new fintech firm in Switzerland called Libra Networks. According to a filing made under the Geneva Commercial Register, and Facebook had previously posted a job vacancy for one legal blockchain counsel. So if you're living in Switzerland and you work in the legal system and you've also got blockchain knowledge, then probably you could have a job opportunity there. And the description in the filing explicitly mentions blockchain technology. So services in the fields of financial and technology, as well as the development and production of software and related infrastructure, in particular in connection with investment activities. Now, of course, my opinion on this is like half. Like on one side of the coin, I'm not too fan of Facebook's ways of data privacy and how they like to operate business. They're probably using a lot of artificial intelligence and so on to keep track of user data, look at how users are interacting with each other, their preference, and so on. And they can build a huge library on each person. And now the thing is, if they now also move into the financial sector with cryptocurrency coin, then they're going to have even more information on user spending habits, and all these financial aspects. So if we look at that, I'm not too happy about that aspect of Facebook moving into the cryptocurrency space, blockchain space. However, if it helps adoption and more mainstream recognition, then it's probably a not too bad thing. But yeah, I'm more against the idea that Facebook is trying to coin their own coin, because of course they have a massive, first of all, they've got a massive user contingent, so they've got a lot of users on their platform. And in my opinion, if they continue with this blockchain cryptocurrency project of theirs, I think they're going to restrict the coin to the platform. So they're going to make sure that this coin is only valuable in the platform. But that's just speculation. I don't know. But I believe that's something that might happen. And if that's the case, then it's going a bit further away from the idea of decentralization and so on. So yeah, we're going to have to see and get more information on that before we can make more informed decisions. But it's good that they're bringing their business to Switzerland, but I'm still not too happy about the whole aspect of what they're trying to do. Now, talking about Ripple, it's a bit of a more optimistic topic. And is it the perfect bridge between banks and cryptocurrency? So David Gochstein, the founder of Gochstein magazine and vocal XRP supporter, thinks Ripple is placing themselves in the perfect position to infiltrate the global financial system. Now, it's nothing new that Ripple and XRP are trying to be the main transaction method for banks, and it's nothing new that banks around the world are toying with the idea of creating their own cryptocurrencies, and these bank-backed stablecoins would act as intermediaries between fiat and crypto for institutions and individuals. But according to Gochstein, as these financial giants made into the crypto waters, they're going to find it to be easier, cheaper, and more efficient to use infrastructure Ripple has built with the XRapid platform, which should help with Swift 2.0. That would be like the Swift 2.0, if I'm not mistaken, and would reduce the fees by 30% when you use XRapid and XRP. Now, bottom lines, bottom lines, banks aren't going to fade out, but they will always find a way to adapt to the current environment. That being said, Ripple has a perfect system in place for them, and that's why most of them are teaming up with XRP. So people are getting liquidity that exists into the marketplace in local regions between XRP and the Philippine peso, XRP and Argentine peso, XRP and the Brazilian real, and is tapping into that liquidity that exists in the marketplace. And that's a good explanation on how Ripple's XRapid can bring people and businesses all over the world together. Even though there's a lot of positive news around XRP, many cryptocurrency enthusiasts are still not very happy and positive about Ripple and XRP. And one of the biggest arguments against them that people talk about is the low level of decentralization and how a massive amount of XRP supply is controlled by Ripple. But yeah, it's probably one reason for the decentralization aspect. And in my opinion, banks don't want to work with a blockchain project that is completely decentralized, and they would like to have some sort of centralization in place. But yeah, it's valid arguments. Now, talking about Bitcoin on the brain, BTC dominates internet searches in the West, and that's showing much more popularity for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in a whole. So much more search interest is very, very good. And a new analysis by Consensus on crypto-related internet search data has revealed that most Western countries knowingly or unknowingly consist of Bitcoin maximalists. In a study compared to search data on the terms Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain, and cryptocurrency, it was revealed that more than 60% of searches in Canada, Sweden, the US, UK, Venezuela, and so on for the word Bitcoin, Brazil led the pack with 88% Bitcoin search dominance. But I believe that's just because of how popular cryptocurrency is at the moment, and I'm going to say it's probably not as popular as most cryptocurrency enthusiasts think. So in my opinion, I believe that most people don't really know that much about cryptocurrency. And when they do hear about it, they'll probably hear about Bitcoin first. And that was how I learned about cryptocurrency. I first heard about Bitcoin. And I believe most people will first hear about Bitcoin. So that also explains why the popularity in search is dominated by Bitcoin. And if you ask people, the probability that they're gonna know something about Bitcoin is much higher than if you ask them what's Ethereum or XRP or Cardano or whatever, and they're probably gonna know something about Bitcoin, but forget the rest. I've already tried it. So the study revealed that in much of the East, interest cryptocurrencies seem to be a bit more evenly distributed. In Japan, only 28% of the searches went to BTC. 30% were for Ethereum, and 39% were for blockchain as a whole, while the remaining 3% were for other cryptocurrencies. Now, the method to the madness, Consensus theorized that this more even distributed of search may be indicative of different levels of awareness of the crypto and blockchain spheres. Countries like in Asia, like Japan, South Korea, lead the world in interest for both blockchain and Ethereum, and fittingly are developing a clued in population at the forefront of the blockchain ecosystem. So they're much more aware of this new technology arriving, and they probably know a little bit more that there are other coins apart from Bitcoin than here, for example, in Europe or in America. So the report also represented theories as to why Bitcoin remains of primary interest in other parts of the world. For example, in Venezuela, in the midst of major political upheaval, has seen a huge spike in search interest regarding Bitcoin as its Bolivar currency continues to fall. Now, as a fun fact, if you take the Bitcoin price at 20,000 US dollars, it actually gained in value if you compare it to Bolivar, the Bolivar currency in Venezuela, due to the massive inflation of the Bolivar. Now that's very, very sad news, and that's also one reason why in Venezuela the population are increasingly becoming more aware and using cryptocurrency as a whole. Now, yeah, it's very interesting to see how the the interest of cryptocurrency is spread out and how it actually differs between the different countries and continents. And yeah, I think that's a representation of which countries are more leaning towards adopting blockchain and educating its population. I think for example, you take Singapore. I'd guess that in Singapore people are more aware of different cryptocurrency projects and different coins, specific coins, than if you take people in maybe France. But it's just a hypothesis. I don't know if that's really the case. Now, talking about adoption, this is also a very interesting topic, and that's Coinbase Commerce enables businesses to accept USD coin for payment. And USD coin is a stable coin, and Coinbase is moving to a lot of other markets. So Coinbase, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchange platforms in the US in terms of users, announced that USD coin could be used as a mode of payment by businesses using Coinbase Commerce. Their platform announced on Twitter, starting today, businesses using Coinbase Commerce can now accept payments in USD coin. A USD dollar-backed stablecoin. And merchants can now take advantage of the many benefits of accepting cryptocurrency, but a stable price. And I think that's very important, since merchants don't want to have a coin that is maybe 100 US dollars today, 200 US dollars tomorrow, and then 20 US dollars a day after. They want something stable that they can transact with and not as volatile as other cryptocurrencies. So what are the benefits of accepting a centralized cryptocurrency? That part CEO of Coinbase Custody, Sam McIngvale, revealed that Coinbase Custody was backing with delegated client fund cycle 105. Stated that the firm had produced over 100 blocks and captured a few steals too so far, adding that their efficiency was more than 100%, which is a very, very interesting. And yeah, I'm sure stablecoins are going to have a big future, but yeah, it's interesting. I'm on the fence with the stablecoins, as it defeats many purposes of cryptocurrency, and it needs to have a very stable backing mechanism. It has to have something that holds a value, and it can't be like Tether. The Tether is supposedly backed by US dollars, but we found out that it's not really the case. So since Tether is not audited that often, actually hasn't been audited, sorry. And yeah, so it's not clear what the outcome is going to be with more stablecoins in the market, but pushing blockchain as a whole and with such projects like this is definitely positive. Now, last but not least, talking about Kraken, 10 million US dollar equity sale with back to the seeks to democratize access. So Kraken started a fundraiser, but it's reserved to accredited investors. That means investors with a significant amount of capital, and they've reached a lot of funding. Now, at press time, Kraken had raised over 6 million US dollars from almost 300 investors, and taking 2/3 of its total investment goal of 9.13 million euro. So I'm also on the fence with this news, because it seems quite similar to what Bitfinex and Tether is doing with their exchange offering, also increasing quite a lot of of funding for their platform, and Kraken is doing the same thing. So they're selling coins to investors as to hedge for the future, to have more capital and so on. It's good, but it doesn't bring blockchain as a whole much further. So that was it for today. We had a few interesting articles. We looked a bit of a market situation, how the market is moving and what we could expect in the next few weeks. But we're plagued with insecurity of the investors and with different signals showing that the market could go up and down. So dollar cost averaging is probably the best at the moment. Apart from that, yeah, go outside, have fun, don't think about cryptocurrency all the time, and yeah, enjoy your life a bit. So see you on the next one. Bye bye.